What's all my beautiful, beautiful friends on the YouTube channel doing? Buenos dias. Me llamo Cory. Me vivo en Puerto Rico. Sí. Dia 17. Shame on me for not knowing 17 in Spanish. What's going on, beautiful YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about a little bit of activism and what I've learned here on the island of Puerto Rico so far. So stay tuned. Alright guys, activism in Puerto Rico. What do I know? Well, I can say that I'm still learning a lot, and I need to learn a lot more. I have come in contact with several different people on the island, freedom lovers of all sorts, and we shall be meeting up soon and discussing what we can do, or what I can do to help, to get involved. So that's going to be a really good thing to see here on the channel. Some of you guys I know some of y'all have been starving for some more activism on this channel, so you're definitely going to get it here very soon. I've been talking to people on the island about what I can do to get involved. I'd be just totally ignorant to jump right in and be like, ah, freedom, and because I know nothing, and I got a lot to learn. So today's vlog, day 17, I wanted to highlight some of the things that I've been learning here on the island when it comes to activism, when it comes to resisting, when it comes to an uprise, when it comes to saying fuck the government. I wanted to highlight some of those things today in my life here in Puerto Rico. Vlog day 17. I have been patiently sitting back and watching tyranny all over the world, of course, and on this island, corruption. I mean, you can run, but you can't hide, right? There's corruption worldwide. So no, I didn't come here because the grass was more freer and I thought, you know, all of a sudden I was just going to be a free man. No, I came here because of many different things, needs, and reasons that best fitted me and my family. So, but I wanted to talk to you guys about the things that I've learned when it comes to activism here in Puerto Rico and their history of activism, their history of uprisings. And two that I want to talk about today come to mind. One represents this flag right here, the flag of Lazarus. It's actually the flag for the city of Lazarus now. But this once symbolized a revolution, a revolt, a sign of independence here in Puerto Rico. See, in September 23rd, 1868, there was an uprising on the very northwest side of the island, mainly in the city of Lazarus. And they called this uprising, this revolt, this resistance against tyranny and government, they called it El Grito de Lazarus, and it means the cry of Lazarus. Hola, how y'all doing?
Hola.
Bueno. And so the cry of Lazarus was cries that these people were being enslaved, these people were being taxed, these people were being controlled by government in a way that was just too much. Sounds like something as of current day, doesn't it? Well, what happened? These people got together and they started their own little freedom cell spotches across the island, from what I understand and what I've been shortly researching and reading. And they had an uprising and a revolt, and they declared that they were independent and free sovereign people and that they would not be ruled by anybody. And they actually told slaves, if you want to join us, you will be ridded of your slavery immediately and you are a free person. And it was from what I understand, the Spanish government had actually got word of this revolt before the revolt was actually supposed to happen, and this revolt was supposed to be waiting on arms and supplies from the Dominican Republic. And because the Spaniards got word that the uprising and the revolt was taking place and going to happen, the Spaniards came in early. And so these people in Lazarus and the northwestern parts of the island had to get together and stand and make a stand earlier than they wanted, and without arms, without all of the things and supplies they needed. And the Spaniard government wiped them out very quickly. I want to say it was within 3 or 4 days from what I have been reading and researching. And so the revolution, the uprising, never happened. And just to read about the history of that and to understand that there was something here in Puerto Rico at one time where people were very eager to have independence. So the resistance, the revolt, it failed, but it will never be forgotten. The people of Puerto Rico celebrate it every year. Matter of fact, 2 years ago was the 150-year celebration of El Grito de Lazarus.
It's an important piece of Puerto Rican history that will never be forgotten here on Vice Avenue in the Foxhurst section. Local residents gathered for Festival El Grito de Lazarus, translated as the Cry of Lazarus, to remember the rebellion of 1868 when the country's pro-independence movement staged an underground insurrection that began in that city on September 23rd. The next day, all slaves that joined the uprising were declared free. Ponce La Espina from El Maestros is organizer of the annual event.
Puerto Rico was fighting for the independence against the Spaniards, and today we celebrate that anniversary, and we also celebrate our first Puerto Rican flag that is also called the Lazarus flag.
This is an important history because a lot of us young kids, we don't know about Grito de Lazarus. I'm still learning more about Grito de Lazarus, the history and everything.
Before the celebration, thousands each year will travel to Lazarus to commemorate the first major revolt against Spanish rule, staged by freedom fighters under the leadership of Ramon Emeterio Betanzas and Segundo Ruiz Pelvis.
And so every year, September 23rd, they will celebrate that, and I will be there to be a part of it. When I talk about this stuff, it really gets me emotional and passionate. Sometimes where I almost want to cry. Like, that's how passionate I get about freedom. That's how passionate I get about when I hear about people revolting and resisting against government and refusing. Sometimes I can't even speak because I get caught up in myself. It happens quite often, actually. So the revolt failed, but it will never be forgotten. And they fly this flag, and I will fly this flag in support of independence and a show of resistance as well. And then the other time that I want to bring to y'all's attention when it comes to activism here in Puerto Rico is a time here very recently. A lot of people won't hear about this because, well, your government, your mainstream, they don't want you to hear about what people here in Puerto Rico did a few years ago when they found out how corrupt their governor was. The governor of Puerto Rico at one time here on the island, from what I understand, there was a bunch of corruption with the mishandling of funds and supplies with Hurricane Maria. After that Cat 5 hurricane that just devastated the island, their leaders here and their governor was mishandling the money and supplies. Imagine that. And not only that, he was very outspoken against the gay community here in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is very gay pride, which is an awesome thing. I love diversity. I think it's a wonderful thing. So after they got word of all of the things that this governor was doing, they revolted and resisted. And they got up and they said, you got to go, bro. They told the governor of Puerto Rico that you got to go. And they didn't do it with a vote, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't do it with guns, ladies and gentlemen. Hundreds of thousands of people on this island took the streets. Do you understand how powerful it is to get off this social media here? If you want to make change, you got to get in the streets, people. And that's where they made change. They got in the streets, and for 2 weeks, my kind of people, for 2 weeks, they did not leave. Remember in Texas when I was telling people don't leave? I said in Texas at a rally, if you leave, nothing will change. But if we stay, we can change history.
I promise you.
If you leave, nothing changes. If you stay, we change history.
Yes, we want to make
If you leave, nothing changes. If you stay, we change history. But nobody wanted to hear any of that in Texas. People want the left and the right in Texas. People wouldn't even go to the governor's mansion and protest against him because he was in the same party as the majority of the people in Texas that were pissed off at the time. But the people here in Puerto Rico didn't give a damn what color or what party you were from. They said, get the hell out, bro. You got to go. And they stood in front of his place for 2 weeks and said, you got to go. No shots fired. No voting took place. He resigned. The governor of Puerto Rico, after 2 weeks of these people saying, no, we're not going anywhere until you leave, he left and he's gone. Now the corruption, unfortunately, is still here, and the governor they have now is just as bad. But I love seeing the power of the people when unified, what can happen. Now on this island, talking to people, from what I understand, there are people who believe that this government here in Puerto Rico is corrupt, and if for some reason that they aligned as a state, the 51st state in the United States, that somehow our government would help them be less corrupt, which is laughable at best. Because let me tell you something right now. Puerto Rico's government is controlled already by the same people who control those 50 states, and that is the Federal Reserve banking system. So as long as you're controlled by that, which Wanda is, she's a puppet to the United States and the Federal Reserve banking system. Okay, so if Puerto Rico became a 51st state, it's just going to be as corrupt or equally as corrupt as it is now. Nothing changes. If anything, it gets worse. And then there's people on the island who are still caught in a two-party paradigm system, maybe voting left or right. There are several groups who don't want nothing to do with left or right on this island. And there is a lot of good movement here on the island still for independence. And if anybody is wondering, you know, maybe you are from Puerto Rico and this is the first time you're watching this, or maybe you are wondering why I'm here, you're from the States and you're wondering if I think Puerto Rico should be a state or if it should still be a U.S. territory. And here's what I have to say, right? I think Puerto Rico should be 100% free and independent. And the people on the island who live here should make the decisions for the island, and that's it. Nobody off of this island should have any say about what goes on this island. Puerto Rico and its people should be 100% free and independent from any federal regulation or any regulation whatsoever that is not by the people directly on this island. I'm super excited about getting active here in Puerto Rico. I don't know what that's going to bring or what that means. I do know that we are discussing more activism about the curfew and these mandatory masks inside businesses. We are trying to get people, so if you're out there, hello, people in Puerto Rico, if you're out there and you want to stand up against these curfews, you want to stand up against this mandatory mask wearing, reach out to me. And let's network, let's get together, and let's organize something. Now, I know there's probably groups out there who are already doing stuff, and if you are, reach out to me. I'd love to see what I can do to be a part of that, or help in any way possible. Maybe I can get a video out or show up and document it. You know, the media is not our friend at all, so we need people out there documenting, recording, and getting the real voice of the people. That's very, very important in our day and age right now. So much misinformation, so much censorship, division. It's incredible, and it's dividing us up even more from knowing knowing each other's true intentions. Because most of these uprisings, most of these groups, you can talk about Black Lives Matter, Tea Party groups, the Boogaloo groups, and all these groups that have started because of government frustration, and they're all being hijacked by the government, infiltrated by provocateurs, and being taken over. And then the media, it influences people's brains to get them to think what they want about the group and not actually what the group is about. So it's very important for the media, like us, independent media, YouTubers here on the island, to get out and start documenting and start recording what is actually taking place at these events. And then also making sure that we're interviewing the people, so we are getting real information from them. We don't want the media, what the media will do is they'll get on TV and they'll say, these protesters are here because this, and this, and this, and this. And that is going to be totally opposite from what they are really there for. So it's important for us, social media gurus, people who have an outlet, who are vlogging and doing all this stuff, to get out there and to record them. So I'm going to be looking for events to get out and record and to have the voice of the people heard. I think that's super important. So I want you guys to watch some of these videos that I'm going to drop on the end here. Some of this stuff has to do with Puerto Rico rising up, and I thought it might benefit to you guys. If anybody's out there in Puerto Rico and I might have misinterpreted anything or said something wrong about the history of Puerto Rico, please correct me in the comments below. Again, I am very new and learning to this, but I'm eager to learn and learn quick.
Que se repita el grito de Lares, que se repita una vez más, que se repita una y mil veces, que se repita 1000 veces más. A los colores de nuestra enseña, que se proclame sin titubear en nuestra tierra puertorriqueña, una república respetar. Y si fallamos en nuestro empeño, que se repita 1000 veces más, porque ese pueblo puertorriqueño soñado.